Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are listening to me. Welcome on board on We Grow channel, where we share rub mind together and how to improve agricultural productivity and how to make the best of your agribusiness. Thank you for joining me for this episode on this. Today, I'm going to share with you what I share with a network of mine, some young African, maybe in diaspora, that were interested in knowing how to be involved in agribusiness in their country. I hope you will enjoy it, and I want you to listen to it. We'll be doing much of this to engage ourselves on what we can do. This episode is on sharing information. Information is key. Information makes difference. And why others are doing well and others are not, it's just because of the information they have. As we take this drive to involve youth of this continent, involve them in farming business and agribusiness, and that's what we do at this We Grow channel, We Grow Africa channel. I'd like you to listen to this, and very sure you will enjoy it. Thank you.
Yes, okay, so we can start. Yes. Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Map Fields. Today we Osu. He is a personal friend of mine. I've known him for many years, and he's very hands-on in the agriculture industry. So I'm just going to introduce him briefly, and then we can take it from there and start our discussion. Okay, so Dr. Hosu is a college professor of agriculture, economics, and agribusiness in one of the universities in South Africa. If you like, you can tell us which university. He is a co-founder of Sunclare Consultants and agribusiness consulting and support system hub in Africa. Okay, so he can also add more about what he does with the We Grow channel, as he's also the co-founder for that, and he'll tell us more about what he does later on. So welcome, Dr. Hosu.
Thank you so much, Amen. Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here.
So can you tell us how long have you been in agriculture, and what actually led you to be in agriculture? What led that passion for you to be involved in agriculture?
Okay, I would say I was born into agriculture because, let me just say it, because if I want to date it, I will date it because I was born on the farm. As every rural household will be, the first thing you know is that you have a parcel of land to work on with your wife and your family. That's how we define a smallholder farming. But I was born on a farm, but my father actually was well-read, at least in his own generation. But even at that, I was born on a farm, and the interest of farming has always been there. You go to school, and you still come back and go to farm. So you have to do both concurrently. So that's how my interest in farming has been. And when I grew up, I actually wanted to, maybe one time we'll get to that, I actually wanted to read medicine. But medicine in my country, when I finished my grade, medicine in my country was just competitive. So there are grades, even if you have the grades, because there's a limited space for everybody to be in. So I was doing that for almost 4 years after my matric, as they call it here. So somebody just told me that, okay, why don't you take, there is a pre-degree course in that university. It's actually University of Agriculture. They said, look, instead of staying in the town, while I was waiting, I was doing some other things, trying to help myself in any business I can do. Even at that, I keep some goats and all those stuff with my mom. You know, as a household, as smallholder farming, you do everything together. So I just got that opportunity to read a 5-year course, and because that in my country, University of Agriculture, any agricultural course will be 5 years. So then I had to do a pre-degree, which is 1 year more. That means that I spent about 6 years. So I joined them. First year was the pre-degree. You did 1 year, and if you do very well, you will have a choice to pick your course. So I did well, and I had a choice to choose agricultural economics and farm management. That's 1999. So that's how I ended up in agric. And because I said I was almost, I'm a farm kid. I was brought up on farm. I took interest in it. So in my school, after 4 years, after 3 years, the 4th year you will spend on the farm, completely on the farm. They will give you your piggery, your animal to tend, everything to do. So you do that for a grade anyway. You do that, the university collects it from you, but they are actually assessing you. There is a regime of it. You go to tend poultry today, you go to piggery, you do all those stuff. So that's after 4th year. The 5th year you progress to finish up. So then I did that. As I was doing that, we always trained that, look, you don't finish from this school to be looking for a job. You'll be a job creator. So that was how the training was, because you are exposed to whatever you want to do. So what will be all other help, maybe capital and land and all those stuff. As in skill, you are skilled. So gradually I did that, and then I did some other things. Maybe I should just say briefly. I was interested in doing apiculture, keeping bees, right? When I was from the school. So I was keeping some goats with my mom then. I sold some. I went for training to keep bees. So I did that. And then I wrote a proposal. Somebody gave me some money. And then I started the APRA. So I didn't have a chance to work for anybody. That has always been me. That look, we are trained to create jobs. Why don't I start working? So, but one thing led to another. I went for my master's. And another thing led to another one. It's just the quest for knowledge anyway. Not because I was not working. I was working in a private firm. And I just felt that, look, why don't you let me go and take this PhD, at least, for the fun of it. So that brought me to South Africa. I came to South Africa to do my PhD. And then from there, I did my PhD also in agri-economics anyway. All the degrees have been agri-economics. So I teach in one of the university, Waters University. If you, let me show you something. If you see this, Waters University, you will know this is one of those crests for the award. So this is Waters University in Tata. Tata is a hometown of Tata Madiba. So that has been the journey so far.
It seems like you've had a very incredible journey and a lot of experiences in agriculture. Just personally, what are some of the differences from your education background back in the days to what the youth are learning now, what they're exposed to now in the universities? Because you spoke about having to learn about 4 or 5 years, and now you get just 3-year degrees. So what are the major differences that you see in the education system of agriculture?
Okay, thank you for that question. You see, when I came here, I came to this university 2014. I was saddled to develop as a postdoctoral fellow. I joined the Center for Rural Development here with Professor Luswazi. So I was among the colleagues who are asked to design agricultural program in this university. So, and we were trying to improve from it, improve on it, the 3-year program. We were trying to push on at least, even if it is 6-month practical skill, or if, because people are not used to spending a lot of years in university here. But in my place where I came from, Nigeria, you spend 5 years in university. So we were trying to put that, look, let there be practical aspect of this thing. But we were not successful anyway, up to date. But I believe that, apart from the fact that I grew up from farm, another thing is that, because you have to wake up. In fact, you must wake up, you must be on the farm by 7. You know, if you want to feed poultry birds and to pick the eggs, you have to be there at the time. Otherwise, you will see that the birds begin to pick on those birds and use their beak to feed on those eggs. So quickly you have, it's a time, you can't be late because somebody is there to mark you. And they will mark you, you have to clean everything, feed them. So that's one of those things that brought it part of me. And I always say to anybody, look, I'm a farmer, I'm a trained farmer. Just give me some little time. Whatever happens, I'm going to adjust. So I think what I will say to answer your question very clearly is that there are some training that, because when I was doing my PhD, I was also involved in some agricultural students to help them on, as a faculty ad hoc staff. The training one was not hands-on what it's supposed to be. So you end up seeing somebody who had a degree in agriculture that doesn't even know how to plant, how to do certain things. So to me, the attention is shifting. Why we know that agriculture is not all those hard labor thing, but you can't substitute the skill because technology is there if you also know how to use those things. I will say that my experience here is that the hands-on skill is not there. It's just to pass and go out. And I pass that in my class when I teach, that look, it's not about passing the exam. It's about the skill you have developed. So I would want us to, I would want us to do more in that aspect of making students to have skill on what they can do on farm, because I enjoyed it. It was tedious, but I always enjoy it, and I always refer to it.
Thank you for sharing that. And now we can get down to the discussion points that we had initially going to discuss today. So the first point is, where can people who are interested in farming, who are interested in agriculture, where can they find information? Where can they find assistance in starting a farming practices? As you said that some people are educated formally, but they actually don't have the hands-on experience. So where can they go to get that hands-on experience? Where can they go to find information?
Thank you for that question. I would say something now, and then maybe later on we're going to brush on that. When you talk about information is the divide line between the poor man and the rich man. We all live on information, and that's why economics says that there's no perfect market. You see, because the information you have is different from what I have, and what you have is what makes you better than me. Now, what I would want to say in that aspect briefly is that what kind of information would that person need before I get to answer it? Is it information in the product, in the primary sector, primary production, in the value chain, or which one? So I will explain that maybe when we get on. But basically, I will put it in two perspectives. For anybody who want to engage in agriculture or agribusiness or farming business, first of all, you look at institutional information and technical information. The first one I will work on briefly is institutional information. You need to know what goes on in your country as far as agriculture is concerned. As at now, what do I mean by that? You need to know what's going on, especially if you want to be in primary production niche or sector. You need to know what is going on in the land reform and title document in that country. And where do you get that? You get that from the government agencies, maybe Department of Agriculture, or all those departments that are made to handle that. What is the, especially in South Africa now, you want to know what is this land expropriation without payment is going on. How is it going to end, right? The final information on that, because land is key. You can't talk about agriculture without talking about land, right? Because it holds key to many things. Then you also talk about the policy of the government. I'm talking about the institution now, about price policy. Maybe talk about subsidy. Is there any subsidy in the system? Is the government providing any subsidy? Now, how do you get that? I'll talk into that. I will just move into that scale. Then again, you also think about your trade policy, the tariffs and export tax too. Now, where do you get that? You can always get that from the government agencies that handle that. Then let's move down. I just talked about that because those things are key. You can't get to any place you don't know whether you have access to land to work on for how long. What is it? Has government enter any bilateral or WHO agreement that handles the crop you want to engage in? Because we are in the global environment now, and whatever happens everywhere touches you. So you really need to know what you want to produce. What's government plan about it? NAMC, that's National Marketing Commission in South Africa, is full with some other information. So I just talk about institutional broadly, what you will want to get, where do you get them, and how do you get them. Now, that's general. And the next one is technical, because if you go to Department of Agriculture now, we want to look at what is their policy. What are they saying about this? What is the policy of government? Is there any subsidy? Is there anything government is planning? And what trajectory? How long is this thing going to be? Because that matters to agriculture. You can't use an information now and plan about it, and tomorrow somebody just said, no, we are changing it. And that's one of those things we have in Africa. And I will talk more about that later on. Now, the second one is technical. I will break that technical into two. Number one, there is one you can get from research institutions. That's government-owned research institution. You can go to, in South Africa here, you can go to ARC. ARC is doing, and ARC, there's a program going on now. I'm going to have to send to you, you share with your viewers. It's a professional development program. I stumbled into that while I was reading some of their websites. So then they can call somebody. The government looks into that. They want to train somebody on their field, whatever they want to do on work in agri sector or agro-allied sector or engineering sector. So then after that, they put that person as an intern, and in that, and somebody where you can work, where you can be trained on that. So I'll share that with you. The pamphlet is with me. So then you can get information from ARC. ARC is a public funded research institution. There is another one also. We talked about South African Sugar Research Institute. So there are government funded institutions. there are many in data here. We have it's been very long. This one is the one in Solo here, which has been, I think it was in the 1950s or so. That's we call it TADI, Solo Agricultural and Rural Development something. So we have Doni in East London, Doni. We have Fort Course. Doni is in Fort Course. We have them like that. They are research institute. Then I'm cascading them in this form. Then you get to private research institute. Now, in this public funds, we also have some that are international, ICRISAT. You can have also your IFPAD, those who are funded to do some good research. I'll cascade now to the issue of private research institute. It depends on what you want to play. What do you want to do? Because information that is general can be an edge that you will need. So there are private institute, research institute, that maybe because of a tailored what you want to do, you really want to add a value that nobody has ever added, and you need an information that may come as a premium. That may come as a premium that you have to pay certain amount for it to come. So those are I started from the general, from government. You can do that, ask them information. And how do you ask? One thing I want us to have learned, and I know we are young people here, is that don't be tired of asking of information. I need this. Can you give me this? Can I have this? Can you give me this? We're in the age of information. You can send an email, you can do this, you can do that. So don't be tired, because I always, my philosophy is about from demand side, demand side. So if there is a demand, there's definitely going to be a supply. So that's that. Then we move on to public funded institutions. But you really need to know what you want to do, what information you want to get. Number one, government information general will not give you a fine-tuned information. Maybe you need the general information that everybody needs. But if you really need a tailored information, you will have to get somebody who can provide something to you. That may come as a premium, but that will always be a value someone else is adding to you. I don't know whether I've answered that question.
You've answered it very, very well and in depth. Thank you for that. And I think information is still a challenge in Africa, across the board, especially with agriculture. It is still a big challenge, and it's something that we still need to work on. And I like what you said, that you must not be tired of asking for information, because I guess if you dig deeper, you will eventually find what you are looking for. Okay, so now if we can move on to our second discussion point, which is some people want to study agriculture and they did not grow up in a family farming background. And so what the question is, do they formally need to study in order to be successful at practicing agriculture? Is there a way for me to go from a financial background and go straight into agriculture and be successful in that?
Yes, it's possible to come from, remember you and I discussed something later on in my show in We Grow, that you really don't need to study agriculture for you to have a career in agriculture. And that's why I said that it depends on where you want to play. Okay, let's take, for example, somebody who read financial management or is an accountant wants to go into agriculture. Does he want to do it himself? What type of agriculture does he want to do? Because there are many types of agriculture now. There is one that we always know, that as we always define in agriculture, agribusiness or farm management, that the aim of the farmer is not to make profit, is to feed himself. You understand that? It's not profit. First aim of a farmer is not profit maximization. That's the first thing we talk about. So if it is just to at least sustain yourself, take care of what you eat, that I just want to know what I'm eating. That's one aspect. That's what you can have a garden on. But if you want to have a farm business, you really want to go into farming. Do you want to do it, or do you want to do it, or you want to have somebody do it for you? So those are some of those planning things that will be involved. So that's the first way to start. Now, I address this question in this form. You actually do not need to go to school to learn agriculture before you can be engaged in agribusiness or farming business. There are two ways to it. Number one, the first way, the first thing you need to look at is which sector do you want to play in. Now, let's say, for example, you're somebody who read financial management. Do you want to play in as a supply of a service? Because credit is an issue in agribusiness. Do you want to bring your knowledge that you've learned in financial management on how to get loan, how to manage loan into it? Do you want to create a service in that aspect? Because that's in agribusiness, you are accommodated. Number two is that now, or do you really want to practice that thing yourself? First thing that I always say in that is your passion. Where is your passion lies? You want to go into primary production yourself, or you want to use the knowledge you have had as a financial an accountant. You want to provide a service that will be useful for in agribusiness. If it is that you want to really do that farming yourself, what I always say is this: you can be trained. Anybody can be trained. You can decide on, okay, I want to produce rice. What do I need to know about rice production? Now, maybe you are busy. You're busy, you work somewhere else. You can commission somebody. You can employ somebody. That has to come with your business plan. What do you really want to do? What's your vision? What do you want to do? So, if regardless of whether you have you didn't go to school of agriculture, we one way or the other, we are kind of a way of have a link to this thing we call agriculture. Why? That's just the first job everybody does. And every nation moves from that before a nation, we call something like a transformation. Before an economic transform, it grows from agricultural base, and then they get to manufacturing base, and then industry, then we talk about IT. So first of all, you need to know I'm interested, I have passion for this. How do I go about it? I talked about where to get information before. If you have money, you can go for training. And you should. Why? Everybody needs training. There is no way you say that because when I teach agribusiness, the agribusiness environment is always changing. It's always changing. So you need training. You need to know what is going on. So that is for any industry whatsoever. So you have to go for training. Do I want to keep grass cutter? What is grass cutter? How do I keep that? Who can teach me this? With a little premium, you get knowledge of that. And based on maybe, okay, I want to produce rice. Okay, in South Africa, where can rice be produced? Now, one of those things we are trying to do in Sunclare is that we want to really pin and want to really pin area with what you can do in an area. What you can do in an area, we're working on AI, artificial intelligence, something that can tell you this will grow in this year. After we have overlaid some climatic and soil factor and rain and every other thing, this can grow here. So that you understand, you have that. So I haven't got that. You need some skill. Somebody need to train you. Then you keep on adding on that that knowledge. That is one way that everybody can do, and there is no shame in it. And agriculture has gone so far now that sometimes you don't even need to go to farm. There's hydroponic farming, there is air farming now. Just put things together and mix this into this thing together. So there are technical people to teach you this. Just mix this, put this seed here, just do this at this time. Put the fertilizer like this. At the end of the day, you just go there and get your food. So the knowledge is there. And I said something before we started, when we started this thing, that there is the difference between a poor man and a rich man is information. And it's the information that you get and how to look for it to get it. And in the other question, before I move on, before I finish this one, was that, look, one way also to get information is to be in a network. But what I can tell you is that information that will make you better than the other person, except you yourself sniff it out of the generality of information they give you, you might need somebody to fine-tune those information for you that will give you an edge. For example, maybe we'll have time to talk about value creation. Let's say everybody does this. Everybody does this. To have a different way, to have something better than what everybody does, you need a fine-tuned information that you can get for yourself. You put things together, but if you don't have time for it, you can always. That's why I cascaded where to get information. This is a RISE institution that can help me. Okay, I want to do this. This is my plan. Can you guys give me something? Okay, we can give you maybe just 1,000 rand. Maybe just $500. You see, let me use in dollar now. So you weigh it on what you want to do and how is it possible to be done. Okay, sorry, I take too much time on that. I hope I've answered that question.
And this is a very interesting topic, and I would like to bring you back next time again. Our last point now is all of this. Yes, I can go get the information, I can get the assistance that I need, but now what role do the policymakers play to ensure that after I have all my information, after I have all this, that there's engagement from the youth into agriculture projects, that we don't find a roadblock and then the youth just give up on agriculture? What role can the policymakers play to ensure that upon having information, upon having a business plan, there is some successful assistance that will help the youth to continue in agriculture projects?
Okay, thank you. You see, policy is everything. It's one of those, not everything, but it's one of those cardinal things. That's why I talked about that. You can be good in technical, you can know everything, but if policy is missing, it's always a problem. And farming on itself is inherent with risk. You understand? There are a lot of risks outside that is. Then there's a climate change there that you don't have control over, right? So, but this is where I will answer this question. I always talk it from demand side, and I like that. That's my philosophy. I think the youth, or we youth, need to be involved in policy arena. How do I say that? Number one, for example, if I know you, Shamin, you are the one in charge of this, I can knock at your door. You understand that? Shamin, you used to be my colleague. What is it going on? How can we engage in this issue? Do you understand? So the one way, first way I will want to engage, that the youth should not just be a donkey that people use them to vote and then forget about them. You see, I've always talked about that. If you need me, if you want me to vote for you, you need to I need to be consulted in the policy that you are going to bring on later on. Now, when I teach agribusiness and farm management, I always use this question: sorry, I only use this analogy. If you see in the US, you will see that any government that plays with the farmers is going to be in trouble. Why? Because those fringe states, California can do whatever they want, except they change the way it is structured. California or New York or Oregon, they can do whatever they like. When it comes to vote, those fringe states where farmers are, there are not many. But the way it was structured is that they have say. You, no matter what you are doing there, you must come and consult us. If any president plays with farmers in the US, he will lose the election. Why? It's because of the way the election is structured. But that's not how it is in Africa. Now, Africa policy, they always look at what happens in urban center, the food prices in urban center. Those who really do that, the policy affect, they are in the rural area farming. They may not be, that's where they are. So how do I look at this? My issue is that I like engaging. We should begin to engage the policymakers that, look, we youth in agriculture are also important, and we have a block, and you need to consult with us as a matter of this. Number two, I do it when I used to be an activist when I was still in the university. When we vote you and you come back next time, we're going to ask you, I will say, no, I'm not going to support you, because what you did last, we didn't see anything here. So don't come to me. That's how I view this thing. Then, so I think we should need to come together now. I know there is wide part there, but we begin to write people. I want to imagine there was a time in South Africa we have youth that are unemployed. You see? And they even have register sort of a time like that. What about coming together, youth in agriculture, and say, okay, Minister of Agriculture, we want, before you go for any policy, we want to be a block to speak to it. Remember, we are not talking about those who don't know what they are not doing. We are not talking about those who don't know what they are doing. These are the people who are trained. Most of them are trained as, or maybe as farmer, agri-economics, agri-engineer. You understand? So that's an engagement I will want. I look at this as a demand. We knock at your door. The policy for March that the ministers will go and say, can we have takes in it? Can you give us a chance to speak our mind to it? So we must begin to have representation to engage them. Let me tell you, politicians want to win election. They want to win election. They will always come maybe for 4 years. The youth in agriculture should not let them come to us after for 4 years. Every year, we must form association of the youth who are interested in agriculture. This is what we want. How is your policy? Or can you come and explain? Or if we are in the age of technology now, can we invite Minister of Agriculture? Can we get about 100,000 signature, or maybe even 10,000 in South Africa? You see, those are the activism people should do. That we want the Minister of Agriculture to come and address us before he goes to address those things. These are the things I feel that because number one, politicians sometimes don't see things the way people who are in the sector see. Why? Because they have another agenda. They want to win election. And that's why I think we can actively engage them. There is also power in collective bargaining. Let's see the youth who want to engage in agriculture in South Africa or Africa as a whole. Tackle, there is a friend of mine, he used to be my lecturer. He works with African Union now. And he's a coordinator of marketing and in agribusiness in AU. I've told him that I want to bring him to one of these shows to come and answer some of those questions. You see, I've told him, he said, I told him I want to interview. He said, Sunday, do you know who you are talking? He thought I was speaking to somebody. I was mistyping. I said, no, I know you. He thought, you want to interview me? I don't need job now. I said, no, I'm not talking about you need job. I need you to come and speak to my viewers or my audience about what African Union is doing in that your in your office, because he's a coordinator of that for the whole African Union. You see, we have to do that, and we have to form constructively, not abusing. You understand? Just to constructively engage people on policy and agribusiness, on how people can get into agriculture. Farming is a risky business, I can tell you that, but we can manage it if we know what government is doing. If we know people know how to get, what is the plan, how is the money, how can people get loan, how can people get this, what is the portal that we can get into, we can engage. Like I said, I face this thing on demand side. If you don't demand, supply doesn't necessarily come, because when there is effective demand, there will be effective supply. I hope I've answered that question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hosi. You've got so much insight into this, and it's really refreshing to hear you talk, and you sound very positive about agriculture and just so driven to make a difference and to make a change. And I hope that we can learn from you to also get that spirit of wanting to make a change and actually doing something about it. And lastly, let's talk about the value addition. How can somebody add value to either an existing project or a potential project, or just how can we add value into the agriculture industry?
Yes, because of time, I will quickly answer this. You see, let me say this quickly. There is no much margin in primary production sector. That's the difference between a potato grower and KFC. Do you understand that? The difference between the primary grower and KFC is value addition. KFC can get about 200% increase. Why the farmer who is donkey to be working may not even get up to 5%. The difference is value addition. And what is value addition? It is trying to improve. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to this production. I believe you enjoy it, and I believe you have gained one or two things there. It is a pleasure here for you to do well, whatever you do. And please always tune on this channel, or like our YouTube channel, or you find us on Facebook, on Instagram. There you find us on We Grow Africa, where the young people share their mind together. One of these days, we're going to have a live episode when you also can tune in to share your experience, what you're going through, and what you want to do, and how you, or if you have a success story as a young person, you can always come on board to share with young people. We're interested in this so that young people, we can drive job creation and agribusiness in this continent. Till I see you again on this channel, this is your host, Sunday Osu. Bye.